about those persons who possess a capacity for developing their spiritual awareness, something that's referred to in the Kadam tradition as a person of the initial scope. Now, each of you in this class has been identified by your teachers, that is to say, by all of the Dharmacharya in our community, as being somebody who possesses these qualities and similar qualities. Now, some of you are further developed spiritually, and some of you possess a more grounded understanding of the Buddha Dharma, while others coming from a more spiritually eclectic tradition might have a little bit more attachment to doctrine or religion or religious traditions, let's say, or ritual, for you to be able to overcome these things. Now, some already understand the foundational principles of the Dharma. Others have a very distorted, maybe fundamentalist, perhaps unhealthy notion of what the Dharma is all about. But really, none of this actually matters ultimately, because this is a formation program, and the formation program accepts each and every one of you right where you are right now, and works with you to help you gradually begin to progress. The reason that they say that they make fourth grade chairs and desks so small is because life expects us to make measurable progress in a reasonable amount of time. And so it's no different with our class. So what we do is, in this course, as I said, we accept you where you're at, and we work with you to help you to make progress in a gradual way outlined by the Buddha Atisha in his Lam Rim. Now, in the first section of the Lam Rim, we begin to hear about the teaching of the importance of recognizing the preciousness of our present incarnation and what this means for us. Now, what this means is that right now conditions are optimal for you to make maximal spiritual progress toward realization, because you're able to use all of the tools, all of the faculties that are available to human beings to aid and assist you. This doesn't mean that animals and hungry ghosts and other beings can't attain enlightened consciousness as quickly as we can. Neither does it mean, as some people think, that we have to be human before we can realize our true nature and awaken. It simply means that you have a precious set of circumstances, a precious set of skills, of tools, and of events that are available to you, resources that are available to you in this lifetime that you've never had before. So you should recognize this, and we should make sure that we're mindful not to waste this lifetime on meaningless activities or thoughts or pursuits. At the foundation of this concept is the recognition that only in this human incarnation, only right now, do we have access to the teachings of the Lam Rim, the gradual steps to the path to awakening. The Buddha Atisha tells us that we should think, at the present, I have briefly reached the human world and have the opportunity to attain permanent liberation from suffering and the supreme happiness of enlightenment through putting the Dharma into practice. If I waste this precious opportunity in meaningless activities, there is no greater loss and no greater foolishness. See, we have to consider that the qualities of the lineage that this teaching comes from is also important. That the quality of our particular lineage, not because it's superior or pure or any of this other sectarian nonsense, but because this teaching comes directly from the teaching of Buddha Shakyamuni down to Atisha and Lama Tsongkhapa, who received instruction from both the emanation of wisdom, which is Manjushri, and the emanation of method and practice, Amitaya Buddha. From Lama Tsongkhapa, these truths are passed down to Pabanka Rinpoche, who then transmitted them to his disciples, including Kyabje Chujang Rinpoche, who transmitted those teachings to Lama Yeshe, Kyabje Dzong Rinpoche, who transmitted them to people such as Tenzin Gyatso, and to His Holiness Tsemtuku Rinpoche, as well as to my beloved Tsala Lama Yeshe. And so you're not being taught anything new or something that I created in my mind, but something that I was fortunate enough to receive from my teachers, and which you will one day share with others as well. See, that's where the importance of understanding the qualities of the teachings themselves comes in. You're receiving you're not receiving teachings just from a Buddhist monk. You're able to receive these teachings from a monk who's able to give you refuge, the precepts, basic instructions, and the Dharma path from the Mahayana perspective. And that means that you're going to be able to learn these truths in the context of a truly altruistic practice. Now, by listening to the teachings and by reflecting on them then by meditating and really deeply considering, contemplating these things, then we'll make progress on the path. One of the unique opportunities of this human incarnation offers us the chance to rationally study and experiment with the concept of death through our spiritual practice. Now, this might be a little uncomfortable for those of us in the West, but this allows us to become clear in our realization that we are not this aggregate of senses that we perceive as me. That our body is nothing more than the interdependent aggregate of systems and phenomena and circumstances that supports or encloses our consciousness, so that we might resolve part of the karmic issues that we've brought with us to this lifetime. Now, personally, I don't believe that it's helpful or necessary to sort of buy into the cultural or religious superstitions of a culture that's foreign to our own. So let's just be really clear about this. It's more important to see the metaphoric meanings behind the idea of being reborn in a lower realm, per se. That this is a practice in which we learn to become more mindful of our thoughts and our actions today. That we learn to take ownership in everything that we think and everything that we do, and recognize that our thoughts are what create our experiences, so that we don't create difficult karmic consequences that will only slow down our spiritual progress later. So if this whole idea of being born in a lower realm feels foreign and uncomfortable for you, or rather superstitious, as it does for many of us, I want you to understand that even if you look at this in the big picture, and particularly in the West, that if we look at this as just simply metaphor, then the meaning behind it becomes so much more relevant and so much more accessible, so much more important. Perhaps the most important aspect, though, I think, of the instruction in the Lam Rim are the final sections in this first part on taking refuge in karma. Now, while my teacher wasn't somebody who, Lama Yeshe didn't focus on fear-based foundation of these principles, such as in the way that the Geshe-la seems to take a lot of this fear-oriented approach. We can still gain from his text, however, and understand that taking refuge isn't something that we do once and done. It's an ongoing process. It's a moment-by-moment commitment to the idea that our freedom lies in committing ourselves to follow the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And so by following the Buddha, by following this path, the Dharma, and the wise counsel of the Sangha, each of us is able to make that commitment moment by moment. And we begin to see that the Dharma, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha are embodied in our precious Lama. Now, for those who don't wish to have a relationship with a spiritual teacher as their root Lama, then this section is without merit. And honestly, those who are not willing to make such a commitment to their teacher, who are not willing to develop that relationship, and who are not able to see in their teacher, which in this case would be myself, the embodiment of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, then you're not qualified for consideration as an ordained contemplative in our community. And this isn't a disparaging point at all. It just means that this may not be the particular path for you. So this first lesson is one in which we really determine whether or not we're ready to enter the Dharma stream, to cultivate a guru-chela relationship with a Vajra master. As I said, in this particular case, with our particular community, I'm the Vajra master. But for folks that are coming from other traditions who may be taking this course simply for edification, then it would be a commitment to your particular guru. So your assignment this week, and let's talk about this for a moment, is one in which I ask you to take the journal that I asked you to get a couple weeks back and begin asking yourself on what things do you focus your attention? What things do you most profoundly desire in this lifetime? What occupies your thoughts and your dreams and your aspirations? And ask yourself, do these thoughts, these ideas, these actions create positive things in your life? What's the result of these thoughts? Are they moving you closer to the goal of eliminating suffering in your experience for the sake of all sentient beings, or are they creating new areas of attachment? One example that I have recently is a student of mine who's very, very focused and devout on being sannyas, on being a renunciate. Went to great lengths arguing with somebody on Facebook about the importance of renunciation, and how celibacy is so critical and so important, and on and on and on about how what an impediment it is to realization to be having sex. Well, in my opinion, watching the behavior of this particular sannyasin, it was his celibacy was actually the impediment, not the other person having sex. And so I want you to look at those things that you focus on. Look and see if there's aspects of self-cherishing, aspects of fear and loathing, where we try to repel those things which cause suffering, aspects of just attachment to things that we're creating and attracting into our lives. Now, you're not going to be required to share anything that you write in your journal, but you will be required, and this is the assignment for this week, to write a reflection telling me what you've learned in this process so far. Again, you don't have to tell me what it is that you focus on. You don't have to tell me what the issues are that come up. But I want you to tell me what you've learned in the process so far. How has this first section of learning to understand what it means to be a person of initial scope, how has that impacted your understanding of the Dharma path? How has recognizing and beginning to evaluate those things that you invest your time and your effort and your thoughts in, how has that begun to impact your practice? And let me just say that your reflection should be something that you put some effort into. From this point forward, those who only give brief, very unsubstantial or vague responses to your assignments are not going to be graded very well. And I'm not saying that anybody has done this so far, but when you give me an answer, don't give me a pat answer. Don't give me a little brief and fluffy answer. Put some heart and some thought into it, because this is all about your spiritual progress. It doesn't matter to me whether you pass or fail. It shouldn't matter to you whether you pass or fail. It should matter to you whether you're gaining the progress spiritually. And that's what's important. And just remember, progress takes time. And so that should alleviate a lot of the stress that you have to just try and give me the answers that you think I want. Remember, at the end of your first 6 months of formation, none of you are going to be immediately, instantly eligible to be ordained. Each of you will just be eligible to request consideration to be ordained. So no one's going to get that lead press on ordination at the end of 6 months just because they showed up for class. During the course of your studies, it's up to you to prove to me that you're serious and ready to be ordained, and that you're seeking ordination for the right reasons. Being ordained isn't going to help you to advance your Dharma studies. It's not going to help you to become a better Buddhist practitioner. It's not going to help you it's not going to make it easier for you to study or practice. So if you have any of those ideas in your head and you thought that those reasons are good enough, let go of them, because you can know that in the next 6 months will be about learning the proper reasons for seeking ordination. You'll begin to discover things about yourself that you might not have ever thought were possible. You'll begin to recognize that you're not ready to be ordained right now, that none of you that are in the formation process and in the formation program could be ordained at the end of this week or at the end of this month or the end of this year. You're going to be ordained at the right time. You're going to be ordained when you're personally ready. And ordination isn't some sort of feather in your cap. It's just the next step in your spiritual formation. It's the next step in your commitment to live the Dharma every single day. It's the next step, most importantly, in your commitment to alleviate suffering in your life for the sake of all sentient beings. So relax. Put your effort and your energy into your practice. Worry more about alleviating suffering for others, and the rest will take care of itself. I look forward to talking with you again next week, and we'll begin our discussion on Wednesday night of this particular week. If you're watching this in the first year, the first run. Otherwise, be sure to check the e-campus for this classroom and find out when the next live discussion is. Namaste.